I am Neil Larthos. I am the next Abdullah. You are the next Neville Goddard. Your SP gets wet every single time they think of you. And your bank account makes Jeff Bezos look homeless. How to create an imaginal scene like a god. So today I was thinking about the subconscious, and I was noticing how throughout my morning, whenever I would think of whether it was, something about work or money situations, I noticed that because nowadays my mind automatically goes to thinking of, what is a good imaginal scene, right? What is a affirmation I can say? Basically I am thinking nothing but in my God power, right? In the law, right? I'm no longer desiring, I'm just being, right? I'm claiming. Well, I remembered a while back when I said that whatever pops up in your head after you ask your consciousness, yourself, what is the version of me who looks the same, who has the same mole on the back of my neck, but the only difference is that I have SP. I have the money, right? And I remember saying, and I've said multiple times in the past, and I think I said in another video, that whatever pops up, you should take as Bible. You should accept that as a snapshot from your higher self, giving you a direct answer, even if the fucking image of your SP looks like your mom, okay? Because it's not so much about the fucking video quality, right? It's like, it's not so much about even what it looks like per se. It's about the implication. A good example of this is if you have a kid, right? And they're like, Daddy, look what I made for you. And, they come home from school and you didn't even expect for them to come home and give you a present. They're like, Daddy, I got you something. Look what I did for you. And it's like this really horrendous stick figure drawing, right, in crayon. But it says, #1 dad in the whole universe or something. Maybe they don't even know how to spell universe, right? But best dad ever, right? And then it's just you and your daughter in a stick figure illustration by your kid, right? To somebody else, they would be like, whatever. But if it's coming from your child, it's like the most beautiful thing ever, right? I mean, it's probably something that you will keep even when they become an adult, right? And you will look at it and cherish it forever. Well, that is the way that you should look at whatever image pops up in your head, even if when you ask your subconscious, what would the version of me be like, and it looks like your mother, right? Okay? At the end of the day, it's about what is implied, okay? Forgive me, guys. I'm going to be acting a little strange here because I haven't had my coffee here, and I'm running on 2 hours sleep. Don't ask me why. But either ways. So what I'm getting at is, in this video, is that when I was thinking about these images that pop up in our head when we ask ourselves to illustrate for us the version of ourselves that has SP, I realized that a lot of us want a script. A lot of us want to pick out and really figure out what is the exact scene gonna look like. But what if we really stay by that principle, right? And for example, if I'm thinking of, I want to manifest the hot girl at the drive-through window at Starbucks, right? She's just fucking gorgeous. She's got cleavage showing, hanging out whenever she's handing me my fucking brown sugar espresso, right? And, by the time I get home, I realize she handed me the wrong drink because I was too fucking distracted, right? Well, instead of trying to figure out the best high definition IMAX image in our brains of what would it be like to be making out with her right here next to me in the passenger seat? What if I just ask my brain, what would it be like to have her in my car right now, finger banging the fuck out of her, right? A lot of us want to start getting, our crayons out and drawing the image in our imagination. But sometimes when I ask, I know I'm going all over the place, guys, but sometimes when I ask this question, a different image will pop up. Like, for example, I was actually trying it out on a different person, okay? Because there's this co-worker of mine who I was working with this morning, and, well, obviously because she's a co-worker, but she has been, we always get along, right? We're basically like, we're kind of close, right? But today she was just acting all weird, okay? And it almost got me thinking, like, did I fucking, do something to her? Did I drop a house over your sister, right? And it got to the point where it almost felt a little uncomfortable because it was a morning shift and it was just me and her. So it was just like, I was starting to get a little nervous. I was like, what the fuck? This is kind of weird, right? Because we typically are always on good terms and we're always joking around. All of a sudden, she's just very, very cold. And so instead of just accepting what I was seeing in the 3D, which was just her being cold, I started saying, what would it be like if she wanted to fucking rip my clothes off, right? Now, because, Neo's a narcissist, right? But when I asked my consciousness that question, an image did pop up, but it wasn't a fucking porno like I was hoping for. A different image popped up. You ready? I was doing something with some shredded cheese. I work at a restaurant, and the first image that popped up when I asked that question was actually her passing me by and her just like with her back turned, but then she like looks at me from over her shoulder and she just kind of gives me a wink, right? And for some reason, I actually, first of all, it impressed the subconscious, right? I felt an actual sensation like if I came out of a dream and I was like, oh shit, it was just a dream. I actually had an impression on the subconscious when that happened. It literally felt like if it really happened, like if she passed me by and was giving me a flirtatious wink. But isn't that interesting that instead of giving me an image of what would it be like for her ripping my clothes off, which you would think you would have a fucking sex scene in a movie, right? Well, no, for some reason, the first image that popped up from my higher self was her looking over her shoulder and giving me a wink. And if you really stopped and think about it, right, there's a lot of reasons why people would want to rip your clothes off. Maybe, because I wasn't specific, right? Maybe she could have wanted to rip my clothes off because there was a big ass fucking bug, right? And she was just trying to fucking get it off me, and then next thing you know, she overdoes it, and because she does make goofy mistakes like that sometimes, right? I'm being honest with you, right? Or, you know what? I was going to say something else, but I can't say that because, I'm already going to get demonetized. But the point is that a different image popped up, okay? And in my opinion, it was actually a better image. Because think about it. When a girl really likes you, when a girl really wants you and desires you and craves you, yeah, it is fun whenever you guys are being physically intimate in the bedroom. Okay, everybody knows this. But one of the most pure and beautiful parts of it is when it's not just physical, but it's emotional, right? And when a girl has the audacity to look over her shoulder and give you that flirtatious wink, I mean, that to me sometimes feels like the icing on the cake, even more so than the physical intimacy, because we all know that sometimes physical intimacy does not equal love, right? But when you are truly desired, you get the whole package, right? So it was interesting that it happened. So That's what I'm getting at, guys, is sometimes you can ask yourself, what would it be like to be in a relationship with SP? What would it be like for her to love me? You might just see an image of her touching your hand, right? Or it could be you guys fucking knitting together. And even though you're like, what the hell? I'm not getting any ass. You are getting ass, but the fact that she loves knitting with you, bro, that happens later. But the point is I truly believe that the images that pop up naturally are highly connected to the fucking Wi-Fi connection of our higher self. But this is the other part I wanted to get to, right? Because I know I've been going all over the place in here. Let me just take another sip, guys. Forgive me, all right? Cold brew, vanilla sweet cream, all right, guys? You guys gotta have it. Extra sweet cream, cold foam, all right? Thank me later. Yes, Starbucks, okay? I am fucking American. All right. But the other part is, for you IMAX lovers who are really preoccupied about the vividness of your imagination. When I saw that image of her winking over her shoulder and flirting with me, right? I was able to, because it was a natural image that popped up without any force, without any pressure on my part, it just came naturally. I was able to go back to it easier, right? Because when you force yourself to think of, oh, but what would her tits look like? Oh, shit, I've never seen them before. It's like, you know, they could end up fucking looking like a damn, I don't know, a water balloon, right? But the image that popped up was a much more clearer image. And even though it might not be the image you were looking for, like I said, there's a reason why your higher self showed you that. So if you can get a vivid image, even though it's of something not 100% what you were asking, but it still correlates, your subconscious is actually giving you an imaginal act template. Okay? It's kind of like if your fucking English teacher in high school had this really big essay at the end of the year that you guys had to work on, and everybody's like, oh fuck, I hate essays. But he was one of the cool teachers, and he said, okay, look, I'm gonna give you a structure, a template that you can use, and all you gotta do is make your own version of this. Rather than you having to fucking figure out the thesis and figure out the fucking plot and all this shit, he will just tell you what to do, and then you fucking fill in the blanks. Or it's almost kind of like fucking vocabulary, right? They give you the words, you just gotta look them up, all right? Your subconscious gave you the image, you just gotta go from there. So if it's a vivid image and it correlates, then keep going to that image, and from there you can start adding details, and you can start seeing, you know, if the fucking AC was on and the booger in their nose, whatever, right? But this is something that most people might not realize, is that you don't have to be picky about your imaginal acts. Just go in your consciousness, ask yourself, what would it be like if I had my SP right now and we were finger banging each other? Or if you guys are going to be, you want to be more righteous, if we were in a great relationship and we had the white picket fence, okay? Right? You might just see a fucking image of a bill, because maybe the first thing that pops up in your head when you think of marriage is, you know, financial problems. Well, whatever, as long as you guys are sharing the bill together, right? But if that's the image that pops up, a bill, then okay, fuck it. This is what my subconscious is correlating this marriage with this SP of mine. So let me see the texture of the fucking paper of that bill that's in the, okay, let me feel the envelope, right? Let me feel the heat and the sweat on my forehead because I had to walk 10 yards in our apartment just to get to the fucking mailbox, right? Get so specific, right? I truly believe that there's a reason why those images pop up, right? So either ways, let me know if you guys have any questions about this, if you would like for me to make another video on this topic. But this was something that popped up in my head, and maybe I could, if I ever do make a course in the future, classify this as another one of my techniques. in the toolbox. But until then, folks, I am Neil Larthos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say, and I know you're going to be okay.